3 minutes. So three. Okay. Just say 8:35 would start. Sorry for the delay. So let's just give room for more people to join. Thank you all. Welcome. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to today's lightning session. Um, so today we'll be doing one of the most interesting topic in our day and time. AI. Everybody has been talking about AI. You get everybody has been talking about AI. Please confirm you can hear me, please. Okay, that's good. So everybody has been talking about AI, and our sessions now we've had like 10 plus sessions, and we've never done anything on AI. And that's where the market is going to. AI this, AI that. In fact, before they even employ you, they will ask you if you know a bit about AI. If it's something you are willing to progression into. You get so everything is adopting AI to make our life easier and to satisfy customers as much as possible. So at some point, some of us might have integrated it into our system, and at some point, some of us just because of the probably legacy system we are working with, we don't even have time or even a space to plug AI into architectural software. You can't even recommend it to your boss. You get. But notwithstanding, while you work for others, it is very good that you also have your own project, something that you're working on, building on the trend. You get because once you work on legacy system and without integrating AI, and that's just all you are. When you let's say for some reason there are a bunch of layoffs, then you just stick with the legacy system without knowing the without adapting to the current trend, without being able to adapt to the current trend, or just with little knowledge of the current trend, which is AI, integrating AI, just doing something with AI, putting it in the chat box or putting it somewhere, or getting a smart response. Okay, so today we'll be introducing ourselves to Spring AI. So Spring has made it easy for us to plug AI into our Spring application, and I've tried it before. It's very sweet. It's just too sweet. You get. Yeah, if you're a computer science student, you know when you write epoch and all the stuff like that. The reason why I'm saying a lot about this particular topic is because it's a very interesting one. So I'll be without further introduction, I'll bring up our speaker by the name Ahmad Ibrahim Adewumi. He'll be taking us through that particular topic. um Introduction to Spring AI, just for you to see the surface and see how sweet it can be, so you can begin your personal project or just do something, or that e-commerce project that you have dumped, pick it up and include some smart functionalities or services. So I welcome Ahmed Ibrahim Adomi, so you can have the floor. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. So, good evening, everyone. How was our day? Hope it went well. So, without further ado, yeah, firstly, I want to thank the organizers of the program. Thank you for having your small boy. Thank you so much. So, I will just share my screen now. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, so the session will actually be divided into two parts. So we have this slide is not something, it's just like 5 pages. So we just to get an overview of it, and then the practical aspects to practicalize what we basically discussed here. So yeah, yeah, as my boss said, so he said Spring AI makes things easy for us, like as Spring Boot promises us like configuration over convention over configuration. So it just makes things easier for us to plug in and do stuff. So imagine there was no, let's just imagine that there was no SpringAI. So you just want to integrate an LLM, an AI model into our application. So you have to connect with the API, because most of, yes, the AI providers, they provide API for us to consume. So just have like something, just use like something like REST template or web client to do that. So imagine your boss told you to use OpenAI model now. So you read their documentation, you studied their request body, their response formats, you studied all those, you create your class that matches the response and the stuff, and you use web clients to connect to the API or use REST template. So you've done all that, you wrote the test for the application works, everything works fine. But your boss now came, he said, I think this OpenAI stuff is just too expensive. Why don't we switch to another, a lower, like a vendor that offers lower price? You know that every vendor or every API, they have different request body and different response formats. So you have to study that over again. It might be different from that of OpenAI. So you have to rewrite the application from scratch again. Imagine the thing. So you have to rewrite the whole application, even if the application is so complex. So you might have to just switch to that one vendor, causing something, causing like vendor locking. So that's where SpringAI comes in and say, no, don't worry, I've got your back, my people. So it's just simplifies things for us. So we write to an interface. So the underlying, the connection with the AI model, the other stuff is handled by SpringAI automatically for us. So the core idea, so theirs is just the to help us use apps. So it gives us clean APIs, it offers us dependency injection, and also freedom from vendor locking. So, and also, okay, I've talked about the problem also. I've talked it in my overview, and then it gives us a consistent interface, just like Spring Data. Yes, just like Spring Data does for us. Just extend the JPA repository. So after extending, it gives us a list of methods that we can just plug in and use. So, and also it gives us built-in tools for structured outputs. We'll be talking about that more later in the code section. And also our apps can combine elements to provide our own private data. You can't just go to OpenAI and start asking it questions about the internal processes of the organizations. It just reply with I don't know. So we'll dive deep into that in the code section. So the second slide, the ecosystem. So as I said earlier, we are not writing to a specific what SpringAI offers us. We are not writing to a specific AI vendor. So we are writing to an interface. So the same code can work with different models. So we don't have to care. So we don't have to care about the underlying implementation of which AI model we are connecting to. So with just minimal, when we want to switch vendor, with just minimal code, just make changes to your .xml file and the application.yml, and yes, you are done. Please, can everyone hear me? Yes, thank you. So so the main interface that SpringAI actually gives us is the chat client interface. So that's we'll be diving deep into that also later. And yes, it supports many models. So we have OpenAI, supports OpenAI, Mistral, Google Gemini, Llama, and that's also. So and then, as I said earlier, we can switch models anytime without touching our core logic. So the third slide. Am I moving too fast? Sorry. Okay. So the core concept we are going to see in the clients. So the chat clients is the main interface that we talk to. So it offers us methods to like prompt, call, to interact with the AI model, and also it gives us prompt templates also. Like when we are dealing with SQL queries, when we are writing native queries, when there is risk of SQL injection when we concatenate the parameter we are expecting from the user, that is user input, we concatenate it with the SQL query that it executes with the same logic. So there is risk of SQL injection there. Also in the AI world also, so there is risk of what we call prompt injection also. So whereby if you have a very good prompt engineer, just prompts the model to leak specific some stuff that it isn't supposed to reveal. And also in actually the chart, when we use the chat client, the what is basically returns the response of the chat client is when we communicate with chat clients, what is basically response is string. But you know, in Java, most of us what we deal most in most of our applications, all we have some, so it's objects, lists, and stuffs. So we can't just be using string. You know, some downstream methods or services may depend on the response from the AI. So we have to convert it. You have to, instead of us manually passing it into Java objects or you know, manually passing it using object mapper Jackson or other stuff. So it automatically handles that for us also. So we have it offers us the structured output converters interface. So and also, as I said earlier, you can't just go to Gemini, Mistral, OpenAI, ChatGPT, sorry. So and ask it about your private organization or your private data. So it just say it doesn't know. So SpringAI also offers us so it also offers us this concept, this retrieval augmented generation, this concept. So we can feed the AI with our private data and it gives us responses based on that. So and also the fourth slide, so it just how the RAG was. So as the meaning goes, the meaning is retrieval augmented generation. So it retrieves the documents, it augments the prompt, and also generate the response. So this just is find relevant info from our vector store using dependency. We are going to discuss all that later. The augments part is going to augment our prompts in the context it's derived from the vector store, and also we let the model answer using both the context and its existing knowledge. So what you are going to see these classes like vector store loader, and retrieval augmentation advice. So we are going to discuss all that later. So so this is just what we are going to try in the demo. So just a simple chart using chat lines and prompt templates, and also getting structured output as Java objects. Yes, for structured response administration, and also a small RAG implementation. Also, we are going to be using I'll be discussing that later. Anime memory vector stuff. So I think, can I move on to the code section, sir? SAS and mass. Please, can everyone hear me? Okay, yeah. So thank you. So let's just move here now. So this is basically just it. As I said earlier, SpringAI provides us with an interface. So the main interface that we are going to be interacting with most of the time is the chat client interface. And yes, this is it. So as we can see, this is the chat client interface. This is what that I'm injecting in this class. So let's just go into it. As you can see, it's an interface. And it offers us many methods so that we can use. So, oh, sorry. I haven't talked about the dependency and stuff. So for the application, the dependencies that we are using is just the normal Spring Boot and the normal Spring Boot web, the Spring Boot Starter web. I'm using the OpenAI model, and yes, the test comes along with its default. Also, this vector store dependency is used for. Actually, I will get back to this later, but just not to complicate things at first. And also, you have the Markdown documents reader to read our documents, and we have the RAG for RAG implementation. Also, we have this dependency. So for the AI service, I said the main interface that SpringAI offers us is the chat clients at the high level. So the chat clients basically handles the communication with the AI model, with the LLM model. So don't care about this specific vendor, like we are interacting with OpenAI. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me just increase this. Like, how about now? Can everyone see it? Can everyone see that? Okay. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So the task clients are just communication with the AI model. So, and yes, so just like web clients, we are using the builder pattern. So it just also it gives us some sort of flexibility, so we can configure it. We might want to configure some things for the task clients for this main service class. So, and yes, so this is the first implementation that we are going to try. So we have injected our task clients dependence yeah, we have injected our task clients. So this is the first method we'll be trying out. So as I said earlier, the task clients gives us some methods that we can just call out of the box, just like Spring Data gives us, all those after extended API repository. You just call find all, find by ID, all the stuff. So it gives us the prompt. So this just to get a joke, just and it returns a string. So passing the prompt, tell me a joke about Java. So and then this call method is used to call the LLM. So after calling the LLM, this content is used to retrieve the response. So basically, what it returns is a string normally. So and then yes, that's just it. And yeah, we don't have to manually wire up web clients or stuff. So if you run the application now, so sorry. So and that's just it. So I have a controller also. That's sorry. I have a controller also that I'm using. So this is just it. I just call a get joke method from the service class. So I just call the joke here in the slide joke endpoints. And yes, can you all see the response? Can you all see that? Please can everyone hear me? Okay. So this is the response. He said, why did the Java developer bring a ladder to work? Because he heard the code was full of exceptions and want to catch them in a higher place. Quite funny. But yes, so that's just the simple implementation to get a string from the to get a response from the AI. Just so we pass in the prompt, tell me a joke about Java, we call the LLM, then we retrieve the response as string. So that's just this simple text-based example. So and yeah, as I said earlier, when we are dealing with SQL, when we are writing native queries in a Spring Boot application, so when we are directly coupling the user inputs with the SQL query, so that all of them is going to run the same logic, in the same logic. So we are risking what we call SQL injection, whereby a user can pass in malicious input, so to manipulate a database to do some stuff we isn't allowed to do. So, and what did Spring is this? Yeah, Spring JDBC. Yes, it gives us these prepare statements, yes, to manage the user inputs safely. So we just make the user inputs. The user inputs will just be a placeholder in the. I don't. Please, please? I would appreciate if people can signify if they are vibing along. Yes. Okay. So to guard against, so here I said in the AI world also, so we have a risk of prompt injection also. So whereby the user can pass in malicious inputs to manipulate the response from the AI. And AI response is you can't determine is undetermined. You can't really determine it. So who knows, it might reveal some things you're supposed to reveal. So the prompt templates. So instead of the prepare statements, Spring gives us what we call prompt templates to safely manage the user input. So as you can see, so as you can see here, so we create a template. These are our prompts, as you can see here. So create it as a template. So as you can see, we can so we are passing the topic, as a parameter. So this topic is staying here as a placeholder. Can we all see that? Hello, please can you all see that? Okay, so yeah. This topic, okay, yes, thank you. So we are passing it as a placeholder. So after passing that as a placeholder, so sorry, this is the multi-line string. I think it was introduced in Java 15 plus or Java 16. Yes, it was in, so this is in Java 16. So instead of, you know, when we use it, when it's just a single quote, you have to, when you are breaking the line, when you are moving to a new line, you have to concatenate it with a plus sign and stuff. So this just enables us to write our prompts in a, you know, in a very nice way. So this is just a multi-line string. So, and yeah, as I said earlier, the prompt templates, it helps us manage the user input safely. So this, yeah, we create the template object, and then we pass this our template, this template string, we pass it here. So after passing that, so you know, we created topic as a placeholder there. So we are going to create the prompt object, and also we are going to map the placeholder to the user inputs. So after mapping after creating the prompt object and mapping the placeholder, so the next thing is just to pass in our prompts to the chat client, call the LLM, and then retrieve the response again. So as I said earlier, it's the response is being returned is just a string, is by the LLM by default. So if you go, we can also test that endpoint. The endpoint for that is just suggest title. As you can see from the method here, get suggested titles. So you just suggest title. I think actually that's no. Okay, let me just edit this. So suggest titles. If I'm correct, suggest title. Okay, so we are going to call the endpoint now. Oh, sorry. Yes, correct. What's wrong? Oh, sorry. We are passing the topic as a parameter. I forgot that. So the topic. So we are telling you to with this. Sorry, I didn't describe the prompt. So we are helping a speaker prepare for a Naija Java user group session. So just 5 short, catchy, and creative lightning talk titles about the topic. So we have the placeholder, and then each title should sound engaging to experienced Java developers. So we are going to pass in the topic as a parameter also. So what's the topic? Let's say we are talking about Java. Oh no, let me say Spring AI. So and then we send the request. Okay, so as you can see, it does that for it returns it for us as a string also. So we see number one, Spring into AI, bootstrapping, ML with Spring, all the stuff. So that's basically the response. I move on. And I'm going to do all get that, please. Hello. This do you guys? Okay, thank you. So, so as I said earlier, most of the time in our Java applications, we want to be dealing with string, as some downstream services may depend on, you know, like this method now. So some downstream services may depend on it. So and then they don't expect a string. They expect a structured. They expect what we are passing in as a structured format. In a structured format, and most of the times in Java applications, we deal with objects, yes, lists, maps, beans, and all the soft, yes, and objects basically. So all this time we have been getting our response back as string, but in order to get structured structured response also, so SpringAI, so you know when basically if SpringAI doesn't actually it handles that for us, but if it doesn't handle that for us, we have to pass this response to the count. You have to pass it ourselves, you know, pass it using Jackson or stuff like that. So to pass it into our Java object. And you know that even if you create a personal, the response from the AI is, you can't determine the response. So it might affect some stuff which is going to make the parser fail again. So SpringAI doesn't, so it pairs us all those pin and hardship. So it gives us it gives us an API. So it gives us an API called the structured output converter API. So that API is F's conversion. So it helps manage, you know, the types we want to return. It helps us to manage it effectively. So it handles the passing and all the stuff for us. So actually, so the key how should I do this? Okay. So Actually, for the passing, it's basically handles it for us. For the to get a structured response, it handles it for us in two stages. So when we are sending the request and when we are getting the response back. So let me first explain this. So I said it gives us the structured output converter to manage to get the response at a like in the formats we want. So if you look at this bin output converter. So we see is a type of okay. It provides us with many implementations. So we have the structured outputs. If it is structured output converter, so it provides we see is an interface and it provides us with many implementation. So we have the abstract conversion service output converter. We have the bin output converter. We have the list output converter. We have the map output converter. It depends on our use case. So we can pick any of it. So the bin output converter is actually used to when you want to get your response as a Java object. So it's basically used for that. So as I said earlier, it manages when we want to get a structured output and we use the structured output converter. So it handles it for us in two ways. So when we are calling when we are sending the request, and also when we are getting the response back. So when we are sending the request, how is it handling that for us? I think I should show it by code, not just explanation. So we create okay, I have this class, this suggested titles class, and also I have this class also. So this is the top title. So just a record. We are not doing nothing much, so we don't need getters, setters, and all the stuff. So I just created a record. So we have the top title and the feed, a feed title. So with the type of string, and also the structure. And the structure is the suggested titles takes a list of and it has a attributes between them. So it takes a list of top titles also. Yeah, so that's basically just it. So we create our bin output. I said so bin output converter is majorly used for managing, when we want to get our format as object. So to create the object, we specify the type we want. So we have the type of suggested. So the type we want in return is suggested titles. So we create the converter objects and also we pass in the class. So I said it manages for us in two ways. So this is the first way. So how does the AI know that the response we want should be in a specific format? So SpringAI handles that for us underneath. How does it do so? So firstly, from this our converter. So firstly, what Spring gives us is a format. So from this converter, so when we are sending the response, it's going to append to our own prompt, the prompt that we create specifically. So it is going to append an extra instruction to it also. Like you should return this in a specified format, like so and so. So let me show you. So let me show you the formats that's the extra instruction is going to give the AI. So as you can see here, after creating the converter object, we get our format instructions. The one that Spring is going to append to the prompt that we are creating here to know that we want our response in a specified format. So this is the get format. So as you can see, this is basically telling the instruction is basically passing for us is your response should be in a JSON format. Do not include any explanations, only provide a RFC compliant JSON response following the format without deviation. Do not include markdown code blocks in your response. Remove the JSON markdown from the output. All those so all those stuffs. So you just get the format. So it passes this, as you can see here. Yeah. Okay. So after getting the format, so actually we are getting how can I put it? So the get format method tells the LLM exactly the structure we are to return. It's going to return, sorry, rather. So after that, we have get the format that we want. We are going to create our own prompts. These are our own prompts basically. So we have suggest 5 create lightning talk titles for a Naija jug session about topic. So these are our placeholder, and this is the normal user input we are expecting. But as I said earlier, when we are sending the request, Spring AI is also managing that for us by giving us a format also. So this is the format. So the format also takes a placeholder there. So as you can see, it's here. So after that, we are going to create our post template object. After creating it, I think I made an explanation of this prompt templates earlier. It's just like prepare statements. Okay. Yes, thank you. So we pass in our template. We pass in our templates. After passing our templates, you have to inject the placeholders also. So you inject the topic and also the format instructions SpringAI gives us. So we are going to inject that also. So after injecting that, we call our LLM. So our prompt now contains the format instructions and also the topic. So we just call the LLM using the prompt, with our prompt. So we provide our prompts. After providing our prompts, we call the LLM. After calling the LLM, so we retrieve the content also. Also here at this particular point, also what it is returning is a string, but it's not just another. It's not another string. If you look at this very well, we see remove should be in a JSON format. It's actually a JSON format, but a string also is also a string. So, but it should be in a specific JSON format. So I think we are going to see that when we call when we execute the method. So after that, after retrieving the response, so I said it handles it in two ways. So this is the first part. It handles that for us by giving us the instruction, an extra instruction for the AI. So when we want to deserialize back the response, we want to deserialize it into our Java class again, or record again. So we are going to, it provides us with a method to do that. You don't have to use object mapper yourself, or when you are using Jackson. So it gives us a convert method which automatically handles that for us. Actually, it uses Jackson underneath also. It uses object mapper, as you can see here. So it uses object mapper underneath also to deserialize the response. So that's basically just it. I think we can try that also. So I think okay, just suggest that the endpoint for that is this. So suggest titles in structured formats. So let's try. I think we tried SpringAI the other time. Let's try Java for now. So we send the response. We send the request. So as you can see, yeah, as you can see, this is quite different from the one it was returning before. So it is returning. So, as we are getting the response as we pass in, like we told SpringAI that we expect the format in suggested title format. So, and as you can see, this is a list of top titles. So as you can see, please can everyone, please, is everyone going vibing with me, please? Because I feel like I'm the only one. Okay, yes. Thank you. So as you can see here, so it returns the response in the structured format we want.
We are with you, man. Right on. We are with you.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So as you can see, it returns it in a very structured format and a very beautiful way. To me, it's quite beautiful. So it returns it as a JSON response as instructed by SpringAI. So according to the format instructions we passed in as a placeholder. So it returns it, and yes, I think that is cool. So I think yes, I can move on because we still have a lot to discuss. I just want to manage the time a bit. So I think we are done with that. Also, this quite look manual. We are just wiring up manually. The reason why there's a better way. There's a better way to do this. The reason why I did this, where I made this like this. Oh, sorry. I think I can't see. Okay. So the reason why I made this, why I made this stuff like this is, this is just the manual way of doing it. SpringAI provides a better way. It's just for the explanation purposes, so we can guess what's going on behind the scene. So so this is the better way to do it. So you just call the chat clients, you provide your prompt. So you just call the prompt method, you specify the user specification, pass in your prompt. After passing in the prompt, you eject the placeholder. So after ingesting the placeholder, we call the LLM, and also the object type we want as a response. So we use .entity for that. So after calling the entity method, you pass in the type of response you want back. So and also this does the same job as the former implementation we did here, but in a very functional way, and I think it looks functional to me. So You can also try that. It's basically the same. Yeah, returns the same thing. So I think the endpoint for that is /beta. So just a better way for that. Okay. So I think yeah, for the better way, it's just the same thing, just a more clean way to do this stuff. Count the endpoints. So as you can see, it's basically the same thing also. So it returns as a JSON format, and yes, in a very cool way also. So this is just the basics of. So that's just the basis of what SpringAI has to offer us. So I've discussed the chat client here. The interface it provides us. Just a brief wrap up. The interface it provides us provides us with configuration. You can configure all the class, like setting the default, setting advisors and stuff. I'm going to explain all that later. I'm going to show that later. So this is just a basic introduction to it. So, and then we how to get our response as a structured format. We discussed that also, and yes, the better way to do that. So that's basically just it. And also we discussed about prompt templates also, how it helps us to guard against prompt injection. So, and the next part we'll be moving on to now is the retriever augmented generation, the RAG. The concept, not our normal RAG that we use to to plain dirty stuff, or so. It's called RAG, retriever augmented generation. So what is RAG? I created a TXT file, in case some people want to reference this. So what is RAG basically? When you go to like when you integrate an LLM into your application now. So if you ask it about your private, like something private to you, like you're working in an organization now, so you are tasked to implement an LLM to manage customer service, like a customer service bot, so that there won't be need for anybody can just come there and ask it. So you just use the organization private data to give response to that. You know that if you go to OpenAI now, or you just say in our organization, let's call our organization the Jokes organization. So in the Jokes organization, what was our last session about? Basically it just say you, I don't know, but Spring actually, so we have something called, there's an implementation called the retrieval augmented generation, a mechanism. So it helps us give access. It helps us give the AI, the LLM, access to our private data, so that we can get response on that, and also based on its existing knowledge. Also, it uses its existing knowledge also to give us a very good and structured response. So as described here, so RAG is a method that combines your own data with an AI model solution instead of relying on what the model was trained on. Oh, I forgot to mention this also. You don't need to retrain the AI. You don't need to retrain the AI. Just provide it with your data, and yes, we are going to see the flow chart. So RAG, it retrieves relevant information from external sources like the documents you provide to a database and add that context to the user's question. So, and ask the model to generate inference. And in short, so it retrieves we provide it a document. So it retrieves relevant data from it. It augments the prompt from the relevant info it retrieves from the document, and it uses that to generate with the pre-existing knowledge it has before. So it uses that to generate a better answer for us. But it acts solely on documents we provide it, or yes, anything we provide it. So yes. So I have a document that we'll be working on. So just a document about the past sessions we've had. So can everyone see this? So this is just about the past sessions we have. So Naija jug session archive. So understanding transactional management in Spring Boot by 𝗖cie_𝗶𝗁𝗂. That was hosted last week. The introduction to SpringAI that we are currently doing. Integration with legacy subservice by 𝗖cie_𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗂. So memory managers and garbage collection, social logins with ClickHook. So all that's what I discussed my bosses. So I just say maybe I should. So these are the documents we'll be giving the AI, and we are going to be questioning it on based on this document. So and it's going to give us response based on it. So the first thing I think we should look into is So there are some things we should know before diving into that. How should I explain that? So you know, can't just give the documents these documents. You can't just give an LLM the document directly and just start asking his question like that. So we have to. So there are some specific steps we are going to take to do that. In a normal application, like you build a normal Spring Boot application, where do you store your data? You store it in a database like you store it in like Postgres, MySQL, and stuff. So, but when dealing with LLMs, when dealing with AI or LLMs, so when interacting with it, we don't use for storing this type of data. As I said earlier, we can't just give it this. And for storing this type of data, we have to store it in a store called a vector store. Let me first define what's a vector. So, computers, what they understand basically, what they only understand is binary, ones and zeros. But yeah, so that goes with LLM also. What they understand is you don't understand the natural language that you just try and type in. So when we type in something now, like in a normal English, in natural language, so it turns that into what it understands is a how can I do this? How can I do this? So what it basically understand is just a list of numbers. That's what it understand. So what it understand is a list of numbers, and that list of numbers is called. Thank you, sir. So that list of numbers is called a vector. So, how can I explain this? So first, this what is called vectors? So a vector is just the actual list of numbers that comes out of an embedding. I'm complicating things. So as I said earlier, what is basically understand is vectors, is numbers. So how do we convert the natural language that we typed in? How do we convert it into numbers? So we use a process called embedding. So an embedding is the process of turning words, sentences, or documents into vectors, list of numbers that you understand. So that list of numbers, what does it represent? It represents the meaning of those words, not just the exact words, but it represents the semantic meaning of those words. So, and then two texts with similar meanings, so they are going to have similar embeddings. Do we all get that? Since please, do you all just a little, do we all get that a little? So it's just the process of turning that list of words or documents into vectors. So vectors is just a list of numbers that the AI understand. So to capture the meaning, not just the exact words. So two texts with similar meanings will have the same embeddings. So for example, Spring Boot tutorial and Guide to Spring Framework, like they are somehow related, so they are going to have, they might not be close, but similar embeddings, yeah. And also, we still have a long way to go. So we have vectors also. So vectors is just the actual list of numbers that comes out of the process of embedding. I said the embedding is the process of turning that into numbers. So vector. So this basically, these are vectors. So this is just the actual list. This actual list of numbers. This actual list of floating numbers. So they are vectors. It can span up to 1,000. So and then also, as I said earlier, we have to turn the words, the sentences, document into a list of numbers. Let's just store that in a Postgres or MySQL database. So we have a specialized data store, a specialized store we store that. So we have, it's called a vector store. So it basically stores the list of numbers for us and help us manage it. So yeah, there are various type of vector stores. So and Spring Boot provides many of it for us. So you have vector. Let me just search it. Vector store. So vector databases. So as you can see, it provides us with many Azure service, Chroma, Couchbase, Elastic, Gemfire, and stuff. So it's just they help us manage, they help us store the vectors, and also when we want to retrieve, also they make retrieval easy and stuff. Yes, I will be discussing more on that later. So let's just move to the vector store config now. So this our, can you see this? So well, as I said earlier, we have to turn the documents, the words, what is present in the document. You have to store it. We have to turn it into what we call a vector. So the actual list of numbers that the LLM understand. So to do that, you have to use what's called an embedding model. So it is going to help us to turn that stuff into a list of numbers. So we have sorry. So we have so we just create a bin of that, and after that, so also we are, for this, as I said earlier, vector store helps us manage to store the actual list of numbers that the embedding model helps us to convert. So we'll be using for this demo, we'll be using an in-memory vector store. So this is just it. So we just be using a simple vector store, and we pass in the embedding model also. So there are some specific steps to be followed. So you have to prepare a document for the AI to store it in a vector store. So you have to follow a specific process. So we are just going to follow, like, we're just going to create a small ETL pipeline. What's an ETL pipeline? ETL pipeline is just a data engineering concept that is used to process large amounts of data. Although we are not processing a very large amount of data, but just help us process the data here. So what we are basically doing here is this class is responsible to prepare documents when they have started, so that the AI can retrieve relevant context from there later. So without it, the vector store will just be empty. So the bin that we created here, the simple vector store, this is an in-memory vector store. So that's we created here. So we are going to inject it here. So it's just our in-memory vector database. After injecting it, we load our file from the class path. So after loading our file, so I said we'll be following an ETL, just like an ETL pipeline, and just a simple ETL pipeline. So yeah, this ETL basically means extract, that is read the file, transform. We are going to split the text into chunks, because you can't just give the whole documents into to the embedding to turn it to vector for us. You can't just do that. So you have to split it into chunks, and then we load the embeddings into memory for into the vector store, the in-memory vector store we are using. So we load it into it. So this is the first process. We are reading the markdown and converting it to a document object. This document object is provided by SpringAI, as you can see. So, and then this is the part we are splitting it into chunks for the embedding model, so that it can turn it into vector for us. Like I said earlier, vector is a list of numbers that the LLM understands. That's just the basic explanation I can give. So, and yes, each chunk is so here we are just converting the chunk that you split here. So we are converting it into vector using the embedding model that we configured earlier, the embedding model that we configured here. So yes, and that's basically just it. So this our vector store loader is going to lead the vector store for us, and application startup is actually ready. So the next one is just the configuration for the retrieval augmented generation itself. So this class helps us wire up the retrieval and augmentation part of the RAG pipeline. So the retrieval part is the process of, so this is the retrieval part. So it sets up the retriever, it converts a user. So when a user enters a query, when a user enters a query into, like, when an user enters a query, like, when a user enters a query now, so like, what did they talk about in the last session? I think I should explain that later when we are demonstrating. So this is just for document retriever, and also this configuration is for augmentation. As I said earlier, RAG consists of three things: retriever, augmentation, and generation. So after retrieving the relevant document, the relevant context, we augment our prompt with the context retrieved. So let me go back here. Let me go back here and basically explain things over again. So as I said earlier, we're going to retrieve documents. So the vector store document retriever that we configured earlier, so it's the component that is responsible for fetching the relevant piece of information from a vector store. So when a user enters a query, takes an instance. When a user enters a query now, like, what did they talk about in the last jug session? So that query, the embedding model, it picks it up. It turns it into a vector. That's what the AI understands, Abby. So after turning it into a vector, it's then retrieves this vector store document retriever. it retrieves the relevant information from the document. That's using something called, I think it uses what it's also it's also the document is also is embedded also is in the vector store. So it's, this vector store document retriever, it retrieves the documents from the vector store. So they are already embedded, they are turned into a list of vectors. We are just turning mainly the numbers. So where am I? Sorry everyone. Stressed. So in the vector, so okay, yes. So when a user enters a query, the embedding model turns the query into a vector also. The vector store document retriever, it retrieves the relevant information from the document. How does it know that it's relevant? So it uses what you call, I think, basically this one uses what you call 𝗖cie similarity. For some of us, we did like linear. For some of us, we did linear algebra in when we are still in school. So SpringAI, like I think it's cosine similarity. Yes. So it uses what we call cosine similarity to determine that. So we can just go here. So just basically uses the formula. So this is the formula that is used to find the relevant context, to compare the numbers, which one are relevant to the user queries, to the user's query. So as you can see, it uses just the dot product of A and B. There's A and B. So just product about the magnitude of A times magnitude of B. So that's basically just this. Sorry for branching away. So, and then as you can see in this RAG advisors first. So an advisor is just, advisors, so it intercepts. This is from SpringAI aspect-oriented programming. So it was the same way, but for AI points. So it intercepts a chat request before it reaches the model. So it intercepts our request and also augment the prompt with the context it receives, from the vector store. So it augments it with our prompt. So after doing that, so yes, I think that's just what the two beans are for. I'm sorry if I'm not flowing the way you would like. I'm so sorry. So please, can everyone hear me?
Very well, bro. You are coming out loud and clear.
Okay. So that's just our configuration. So this is just the main service that does the work. So it's just a simple service. So we are going to ingest our retrieval augmentation advisor. So after ingesting that, so what I said earlier is going to intercept our request, add the specific relevant context to our prompt. So this just we create. So this is we wire the advisor, we pass in the RAG advisor being created. So and then after that, so this is just the main method for managing that. So we have just clients, we call the prompt, we pass in our question, we call the LLM, and we retrieve the content. So basically, that is just the whole flow. So I'm so sorry. I might not be performing the way you expected. I'm just trying my best. I'm so sorry. So we can also try that out. So okay, yes. So I have a controller for that also. So this is the controller. So we just ask the question you want. So the advisor does all the work of augmenting and all the stuff. It does the work for us because in the config also we have passing the embedding model. No, not this. Sorry. So you are passing the retriever, it helps us retrieve, and then yes, it basically does all the work for us on that. So we just ask the question we want. So let's see our job sessions as MD file. So we have people who discuss. You can just tell it Give me all the speakers and what they talked about. Let's see what's going to respond with. So as you can see, so it returns, this is the response. They said 𝗖cie𝗶𝗆𝗺𝗂𝗃𝗃. So a deep dive into Java memory management and garbage collection. Is that correct? So let's check. So 𝗖cie𝗶𝗆𝗺𝗃𝗃. So memory management and garbage collection. So that's correct. So Amadi Ibrahim using AI in Spring Boot, just clients, RAG and output process. Is that correct? Yes, it's correct. So something how Spring Boot handles transactional management. So it handles that for, so that's correct also. And also Samuel Binga integrating legacy SOAP services into modern enterprise systems. That is also correct. So we can ask it another question also, like what did Samuel talk about? So we'll send that. Okay. Sorry. Okay. As you can see here from the response, so he said he spoke about integrating legacy SOAP services into modern enterprise system. So that's also correct. So if you ask it, let's give it something that's not part of the documents we gave it. So let's say, who is the president? The president of Nigeria. Okay, let's send that. As you can see, it says I don't know. So because that is basically out of the context of the documents we gave it. So yes, and so you can, so if you're integrating a custom, like you're integrating LLM into your customer service implementation or stuff, so we can also use this aspect of RAG, the retrieval augmented generation. It's just a mechanism of giving AI your private data so you can get response from it. So that's basically just it. So, and yes, that's basically what I have for us tonight. I'm so sorry if I'm not I didn't perform the way you were expected. This is my first time. Yes, so sorry. Yes, thank you.
Okay, can you all hear me? Good evening. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much. I really appreciate. That's that's deep. So I don't know if we have any question. If we have, our time is fast spent. So if there's any question, okay, Mr. Ezio, you can go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, moderator. Please kindly confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Once again. Thank you, Mr. Presenter. I'm not sure I got. Okay, Ahmed. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for the information and stuff. I wouldn't say mine is a question. I would say I have a bunch of questions, but I'll just let that go. Just keeping these suggestions. So let's say positive feedbacks actually. Understand. So I would want to start with Ahmed, you don't have to be sorry. You understand, when you come on board and you want to let us know what you have for us. You understand? You don't have to be sorry. We're all here to learn, we learn and get better. You understand? So I would say the thought process around what I've experienced right now is that topics like this are not supposed to be taken once. Yeah, let me put it that way. In the sense that I'm very sure that we have or should I what's the word? People that are just joining the community, or let's say newbies, yes, in the Java environment. We have them among us. And for such a topic, today, that was a lot of information. And even not as a newbie, as someone that is well grounded in Java. So at some point in time, I just, these are just positive feedback. I just lost interest. Understand? So, and the reason for this is it's not like whatever you are positioning towards or you're passing across is not okay. It is fine. I saw a lot of, I love the thought process every day. But, when it comes to breaking down information for people, especially if it is not what people are familiar with or they are new to, you understand? So these sort of topics are supposed to, maybe broken down into parts, you understand? And that was what even gave you, that urge to start apologizing because, you felt like you were just rushing through everything. So I don't know. I think I've mentioned this on the group before, maybe as just a feedback as text, not vocal this way. But I don't know how the moderators could actually help in this situation. Understand? So that it doesn't have to be, you know, heaven coming down on people now while you are doing these sort of lightning talks. It is supposed to be a lightning talk, which is, as clear as possible and, straightforward. So that people can also go home with a thing or two. You understand? Maybe let's say for big guys in the environment, yes, you might be able to find your way around these things because yes, you already understand the basicity. It's just straightforward. So let me just stop here. So it's just a feedback. I don't know. So please, thank you.
Mr.
Thank,
Elliot,
thank you,
thank you
sir.
very much for that, for pointing out that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll, we'll, would we'll do something about that. So, any other question? Okay, Mr. Ayandakan, I want to apologize for not noticing the presence. Mr. Duncan, please go ahead.
Thanks, no worries. So hi everyone. That was a nice session. But just like pointers and just like one thing possibly that we tend to forget when it comes to like I'm a fan of Spring AI as well. There is like the models, the description that is given in when you go to chat memory under the Spring documentation is that the models are stateless. So when you like create a Spring AI application, you have to like sort of like inject some memory in it. I don't know if Ahmed touched on that, but that is like sort of like a core thing when you're doing the integrations. So you have to also like on your own look into that, because I'm pretty sure when you ask the model currently, you just like tell the model my name is Ian, and then the next prompt ask it what is my name. It won't remember who you are. So you also like look into the issue of adding like memory into it so that it also like remembers who you are, has like access to various requests that you made initially for context and whatever. So there's a very nice documentation that does the explanation of that. The other bit I'm forgetting, but I honestly get Ahmad what he's saying. I've presented on Spring AI severally, and you always feel like time is never enough for you to like consume the whole thing about Spring AI. There's a lot of things you could do, from RAG, image generation, transcriptions, and like there are various models you could use for the same. So that was nice, Ahmad. And yeah, if you also like have any questions in regards to like Spring AI, you can reach out to me as well. I just like I'm a fan of the topic, and we could like explore a few things here and there about the same. Yeah, and as Adero said, Ahmad, you don't have to be sorry about anything. You just do your thing. You're doing perfect. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Thank you very much. I really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So our time is fast spent. If there is any question, probably you can leave it in the chat, in the group, in the community chat, then we'll attend to it. So we'll be dropping the materials and the code base for this particular session. Also the record will be dropping by tomorrow. So I really appreciate every one of us for joining this session today. I really appreciate. Do have a blessed night, and we'll meet again next week. And again, as our monthly session, we'll be having promise Akemi. So I'll be doing a giveaway for the first 10 people that will join that particular session. So I'm just giving all of us heads up again. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Israel, Mr. Samuel, Mr. Victor. Thank you all. I really appreciate it.